Get out. Go ahead.
Apparently, that's how we starting the show.
That's how we always start the show, with some drama, some fake drama. Go ahead, brother.
How y'all doing today? It's your boy Big Zeke.
Fine. Let's do it, Kesey. With him sitting here.
All right, boys and girls.
Wait, we got to start. What is it? Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs.
Since you don't want to do it.
That is horrible.
Well, you don't want to do it?
That is horrible.
Well, can we get the party started right?
Can we get the party started right?
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, welcome to another episode of the 94 Feet Podcast.
What's good? It's your boy Dre. I'm sitting in with my brothers, Big Zeke. What's going on, family?
What's going on, man?
How you doing today?
I'm trying to fight the heat.
I'm
a losing battle, but I'm fighting the heat.
My brother Keith.
What's going on, good brother? People? I'm good.
It's been a rough week for you, hasn't it? Rough sports week, that is.
Listen.
wait.
Wow.
We're not even gonna get started
off
like that.
top. You started off top.
As a matter of fact, let me get ready for him, because I'm ready today.
Go ahead and get ready for it. So everybody's doing well. Look, folks, we are in the NBA season.
Playoffs.
The playoffs, thank you. One of the things I think most of us are shocked about is how quickly the season is ending. None of us expected the first round to go the way it did. There are a lot of 4-1 victories. There was a few 4-2s, and I think there was one 7-game series, which is being played right now. So obviously, depending on when you're listening to this show, we're going to talk about some of the matchups and the scores and look at the second round, including our Milwaukee Bucks. But before we go into the highlights, let's talk about the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre, folks. We got Danny Ainge stepped down as the president of the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics promptly promoted Brad Stevenson, a coach with a losing season, a now losing culture, was promoted. Is there something fishy about that? How do we feel about the promotion? And what will it take for Brad to bring the Celtics back to glory? Zeke, let's start with you on that one, bro.
Well, first of all, I just like to think that before I really go into it, Stephen A. really summed it up. There's obviously some favoritism going on in Boston, and instead of them outsourcing the job and maybe getting somebody more qualified, they handed down to a guy who should have been fired.
Yes.
The thing to me that is just, like I said before, Stephen A. pretty summed it up, is that they haven't talked to try to outsource it, especially like more qualified candidates. I think that is one of those things where in the NFL they have I can't think of what the rule is called, but you have to interview at least one black person for the job.
It could be affirmative action. It could be. It depends on.
It's a certain. They call it a certain thing. I just can't think of it right now. Mm-hmm. But the point is that for Danny Ainge to promote him and then step away from the position, and then now they got to look for a coach, and it's just this shit is just ridiculous. Point blank. Period. It's just ridiculous. It's sad.
Explicit tag.
Explicit first 5 minutes.
That's what I'm here for. And so once you bring you have a guy who should have been fired looking for another person to take his old job. And do I think that Brad Stevens is going to bring back a winning culture to Boston? No, I do not. And if anything, it goes back to what Kyrie said about it, being underlying racist in Boston. And so, I mean, that's pretty much sums it up for me. Kesey?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with you on this subject, even though I don't want to agree with Stephen A., but I am today. They basically,
right.
It's in-house. It's what they call in-house.
When you say in-house, though, it's like if this guy has a winning record, he ended up losing in the playoffs, and then I'm going to step away, but this guy is in the organization, he's doing good.
But that's how it goes when it's in-house. You got the advantage over everybody, and that's basically what it all boiled down to. He had the advantage over everybody outside of that organization.
Yeah, but I don't think that we should look at that as unusual. I mean, that's basketball. It happened to Doc Rivers in the Clippers. It happens.
He was still coaching, though.
Yeah, it happens in San Antonio. It happens.
Still coaching.
Yeah, I get it. It happens in Miami. Okay, Pat Riley, when he left his coaching job, he moved right into the president of basketball operations. But if I remember, he was doing dual roles. You may have to fact check me on that. But I don't think it's uncommon. The only fishiness that I have behind the story is that the man was on the hot seat. All of us listen to sports shows, we read sports papers, and they were literally talking about how Brad Stevens was possibly going to be fired like the very next day after Boston had that early elimination.
But the thing is, though, who assumed that he was going to be fired?
So
Nobody.
His record.
That's
his record.
What you mean his record?
He's had losing. In my opinion, Brad Stevenson, his years in Boston have been underwhelming. Boston has underperformed since he's been the coach.
I wouldn't say that. I
wouldn't say underperform. Okay. I think he has not had the rosters that people are expecting him to win with.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing where
those rosters aren't that good.
They were really good. That's the point.
Outside of Tatum and Brown, who else can you depend on that roster?
When they had Kyrie Irving, they had Isaiah Thomas in his prime.
Look at everywhere Kyrie went. It was an issue.
Yeah,
so that's a season I wouldn't even count because Kyrie was there the whole season and he really didn't benefit the organization, and the organization brought him in, not just the coach, because the coach has some input on who comes there.
But we all know how this goes as far as when you have superstars on your team and you don't deliver anything less than a title, you have to go because there's something in your system.
That team.
Jason Tatum.
He's not a superstar yet. He's on his way.
He's a superstar.
He's not there yet.
He's
not there yet.
He's a superstar.
Right.
He's not there yet.
We won't go back and forth, but in my opinion, Jason Tatum is a superstar. In my opinion, Jaylen Brown is upcoming right behind him in a superstar. Let's not act like Boston didn't have a top 5 team in the East for the last 5 to 6 years. They had a top 5 team, and for your season to end it how it ended, they shouldn't have made the playoffs. But the fact that they made the inside the play-in tournament, which was shocking to everybody, like this is wow, y'all made the. And the point is that when you have, season ends like this, you should not get promoted. When the guys that Doc Rivers or other guys, Pop or other guys, coaches who have had these dual roles, they've had these dual roles, or they got promoted because of their winning team. And so it's easy to promote a guy when he's bringing in winning records. But if your team is declining season after season after season after season, we have to look at your philosophy. We have to look at your strategy. We have to replace you.
But I wouldn't say they declined. They just kind of stayed at a standstill. I mean, they made the playoffs like they do every year.
So at
the same time, look at that roster. Outside of Tatum,
Brown
is, I mean, he's okay, but he's not a superstar. Maybe an all-star.
So again,
but when you just I mean, it's one of those things where we all know how this goes, and for you to not look at this situation as a little bit of favoritism is kind of puzzling to me, because it's obviously Danny's Ainge like this guy, so he's like, I'm not gonna fire you, I'm just gonna promote you, I'm gonna step away. They're already talking about Danny Ainge going to another team as in the same position. So obviously he knew he can get a job elsewhere.
I didn't think he said he was going to another organization.
I think he's
taking on a different role.
I heard rumors that he's going to a different team.
The rumor mill has Ainge separating himself from the Boston Celtics
and going to possibly Portland. Is because his draft picks have been really good, and that's another thing. Like,
he did win a championship.
Danny Ainge is bringing in guys to help you succeed, and you still don't succeed. I have to look at you and replace you.
Who did they have that would make them succeed since he's been there? Outside of Tatum,
brother, the problems, but Kyrie. Go ahead.
Let's be realistic. Outside of Tatum, who else was brought in to make that organization succeed?
Bro,
that you can literally say he was going to make an impact on that organization.
Jaylen Brown, Isaiah Thomas. These are guys who made impacts. Whether you like Kyrie or not, he made an impact.
People forget that because Isaiah Thomas is kind of blackballed from the NBA, that some of Boston's best years was with him as the leader of that team. And the reason why I have a problem with the Brad Stevenson promotion is I don't even think Mark Jackson was a great coach. Mark Jackson had 2 years and has not had consideration since then. Some would say that Golden State's core for winning was based on Mark Jackson's formula.
Pretty
now,
much.
I don't know that I agree with that, but I'm saying Brad Stevenson was on a hot seat. Okay, like literally, like, bro, I'm gonna walk you out the door. And imagine any of us regular folks. Gee, Zeke, you did a terrible job today, but I'm gonna promote you to the top guy in this company. It will never happen in true America. But in basketball's America, when you have friends, when
White basketball America,
when you're part of the good old boys club, you know, you can get those different opportunities.
You said the what club?
The good old boys club.
Oh, so you copying off Kwame now? What do you say?
Is that what he said?
The get along, the go along gang.
Well, I think he's copying off me because I'm a little older than Kwame. But you know, the good old boys club is an old saying for rich people, and it can be used in many
rich
different
white
circles.
people. Just say it.
You know, I'm not saying that, but in some circles, that's what it's considered. Unfortunately, I think Kwame Brown being a part of that. I'm sorry. You got me talking about Kwame now. Brad Stevenson being a part of the Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale regime. This stuff isn't new. Boston has been playing the system for years. Remember when Kevin McHale was in charge of Minnesota? Kevin McHale is famous as a player from whom?
Boston.
The Boston Celtics. And what did he do? He gifted the Boston Celtics Kevin Garnett. He gifted that to Danny Ainge. What did Minnesota get in return? Does anybody remember?
I don't.
Awkward silent moment because it doesn't even matter because it didn't do anything. So Brad Stevenson is a heir to the throne of Boston as a result of the Kevin McHale's, the Danny Ainges, and the club that looks out for their own. I don't think it was a promotion that he earned. There is nothing that we can do about it. But now, not only if he wasn't under the microscope before as a coach, he's definitely going to be under the microscope as a president because now you control everything, including having to hire a head coach.
Yeah,
including having to hire a head coach. So the Boston Massacre, more to come. Ainge is out. Stevenson is in as the president of the Boston Celtics, and it should be an interesting off season for those Celtics. Jumping on, let's continue talking about Celtics Nation. Kyrie Irving versus the Boston Celtics. Kevin Garnett and other Celtics players recently had a lot to say and took it personal what Kyrie did at the Boston Garden. Now, for those of you that don't know what he did, obviously this is radio, so we can't show a video.
It's podcasting.
Podcasting, radio, it's okay. It's about the same. But don't ever correct me like that.
I'm just saying, man, you're gonna say it right. That's what y'all saying.
No. So seriously, they took it personal. And what Kyrie did, it appeared that Kyrie sort of stomped and wiped his feet on the Boston Celtics logo, and you had all these Boston greats, Kevin Garnett. I'm not going to call Big Baby Davis a great, but he was a part of the championship run. And you had all these players having an issue with what Kyrie had to do. And so do we have a problem with what Kyrie did? Are players too emotional, and was that really disrespectful?
I think it was.
You think it was disrespectful?
I think it was definitely disrespectful.
Man.
Because we, as basketball players, as the culture of basketball, we know that what that type of stuff means. It was petty. I don't think it because they say the guy who threw the bottle at him, that's why he threw the bottle at him.
It don't matter. He shouldn't have did it.
He shouldn't have did that. And I totally agree with you. But it's just the fact that you have Kyrie, who is all about, peace and love and, something bigger than basketball. And then he turn around and do something petty like this. And that's what the irritating part is. Like, Kyrie, you of all people, like, if you that kind of guy, you that kind of guy. We have these players in the NBA where they disrespectful. Because I know the rebuttal for Kevin Garnett was Richard Jefferson saying Kevin Garnett has done way more disrespectful stuff to the different stadiums and so on and so forth. But that's what Kevin Garnett has been over the years, a disrespectful player. He going to talk crazy. He going to pass a line. He going to toe the line. But let's not say what Kyrie
So that makes it okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. What I'm saying is let's not take away from what Kyrie did. It's disrespectful. Keezy, you're a basketball player. You played in college. Is that disrespectful? Yes or no? That's a yes or no question.
Is it disrespectful? Well, it depends though.
It's a yes or no. That's a yes or no question. If you see a guy from the opposing team doing that to your home court in the middle of it, because he did it on purpose, is that disrespectful?
It was a little stomp. It ain't like he went and,
is it
dug a grave.
Just a yes or no question. It was that disrespectful.
It was disrespectful to a certain extent because at the end of the day, people have done it before.
And it was disrespectful.
You better have not noticed it, or you better not have been talking about, but only because it's Kyrie now it's more relevant.
If it was Kyrie, if it was Kevin Garnett, if it was Michael Jordan, that's disrespectful.
So then Kevin Garnett talking about people mamas in games and calling them everything but a son of God.
And he had the nerve to comment first. Didn't he? Isn't this the same guy?
But my only thing is, like, you can talk crazy about it, but I think when players like Big Baby Davis took it to the extreme that he took it and say something like,
"Yeah, I'm gonna beat you up next time I see you," or something.
He said that's what get people hurt in real life. Like, you talking about?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like,
they making it go to a whole other level that people shouldn't have took it to.
Well,
is what my point is.
I get that.
You can express like that was disrespectful and say something to him that is disrespectful, but when you do,
go ahead.
But when you do,
wave at the cat.
Yeah, I did.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. Continue what you were saying.
I lost my whole train of thought.
Well, good. So now I can finally have a say.
No, I'm just saying, like, because Kesey was saying is levels to this thing, and I get that it is levels to this thing. But when you talk about like disrespect on the basketball court, is that not one of them?
Listen. May I?
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to agree with Keith briefly here. Didn't Kevin Garnett tell Carmelo Anthony his wife tastes good?
Oh my! Yeah, it tastes like
tastes like candy.
Not candy. He said like honey. Like he said, honey bunches of oats.
He said honey bunches of oats on a basketball court.
Okay.
First of all,
he said that. He really said that.
According.
Yeah, he said that on a basketball court, and that's why Carmelo Anthony was like, "Hey, after the game, you need to see me outside. I need 5 minutes."
So this is what I'm gonna say.
Well, first of all,
they had a 5 minutes. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
They did have a 5 minutes.
Because if I'm Carmelo, I need that 5 minutes.
Here's the thing, though. Kevin Garnett, number one, knew it was disrespectful. Number two, he did that getting in his head, and it worked. Number three, La is fine. And then it's one of those things where, like, this is on the basketball court. Hey, man, my fault. Things got a little heated out there. Let's not act like things don't get heated out there.
So first of all, I think players, and we did an episode about emotions and sensitivity. It is not that serious. Let's not forget, everybody's talking about Kyrie. Oh, that was disrespectful. Bro, they were chanting vulgar names to him. They were booing him all game, which fans are supposed to do. How is he supposed to act? Did y'all want him to get down and kiss the floor and say, I miss Boston? Stomp on it and walk it dry, in the words of Steve Austin. Basketball needs more of that type of stuff. Okay.
So what you saying? Basketball too friendly now?
This is all I'm saying. LeBron, your boy, Melo.
Don't point your finger at me because it's already on this verge.
LeBron, your boy.
Here you go.
Carmelo.
3 strikes and you out.
LeBron, your boy. LeBron, Carmelo, Chris Paul, and Wade, they're on boating trips together, camping, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're trying to compete. They're out here building super teams and strategizing on how to be best friends. Chris Paul gets into a fight with the Lakers, and LeBron holds back Chris Paul and not his own team. That is not needed in the NBA. Stomp on the freaking floor. If it's going to get Boston upset, if it's going to make the dog and players come out and play better, do it. We are taking this stuff way too serious. Now, I will say, a mentor of mine, owner of the Milwaukee Admiral, shout out to Harris Turr, when we're in the locker room, we cannot step on the logo in the locker rooms. Walk around it, Dre, walk around it. So I get why people would perceive
that's
it. That's
more of a superstition then.
It could be.
And that's in the locker room. You're talking about on the court.
So on the court, that's
and didn't make it so bad. Listen to this. He was way over by the bench. He walked over.
So what?
And gave it a little stomp and looked up and looked around and walked away.
I'm gonna tell you like this. It is more disrespectful from Steph Curry to shoot a half-court shot from your your logo than it was what Kyrie did.
No, it was not.
It was to me.
Here you go.
It was to me. Our executive producer wants to weigh in. Go ahead, sir.
You have to think about it. Shooting it from the key is playground shit. But then you specifically go to my logo and show you I don't respect you.
That's all I'm saying. So the fact, hold up.
Go ahead.
The fact that I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm sorry.
Just because it's Steph Curry, though.
The fact Dame does it too.
We just know he can hit it.
The fact that people are so consumed with Kyrie doing that on the logo tells me that basketball has gone to a place where it shouldn't have been. Who cares? We're talking about it because it's something to talk about, but it is not that serious. It is not that deep. Kevin Garnett needs to just stop. Big Baby Davis. No. Big Baby Davis, worry about your own issues. Kyrie Irving is a champion. Kyrie Irving, did he leave Boston bogus? Yes, we all agreed on that. Kyrie is not the guy you probably want as a teammate. But the fact that you want to beat him down, call him disrespectful, bruh, people walk over that logo every day.
But I don't think.
Are you saying this is not disrespectful?
It is not.
This is you know what this is equivalent to? A man walking in your house knowing his shoes dirty.
No, I disagree.
Hold on.
If you walk in my house knowing your shoes dirty,
if I walk in your house with my work shoes on, what you gonna say to me?
Well, take your shoes off at the door.
But
if I don't,
and I keep walking through.
But you're leaving
disrespectful. Thank
you.
You
gotta say what you gonna say. What
you say it. You gonna say it.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Clearly, I never do. You both know you'll never get through my house. You even
because we not disrespectful.
Listen, again, we're taking our basic Americanized lifestyles from our 9-to-5 jobs to these millionaire basketball players. Kyrie,
that's their 9 to 5.
Kyrie left Boston with bad blood. What did y'all expect for him to do? The place booed him. No. They called him names.
Hold on. First off, I'm not mad that he did it.
They were chanting him. Weren't they chanting the B word? They were
weren't.
chanting some vulgar words to the man.
I don't know this. I know is this. All I know is this. All that stuff is part of the game.
It is. And so is stumping on your logo.
And so it's disrespectful. Whether it's small disrespect, a little disrespect, a microscopic disrespect, it's still disrespectful.
Bruh.
Just like you talking about stuff gets heated on that court. And the point of Kyrie or people talking about Kyrie is because Kyrie is all peace and love. So for him,
be peace and love.
If you're gonna be peace and love or you're gonna be petty, you can't be both.
Yes, you can, especially if it's gonna get in your head as a player. What are you saying? Listen, that's just like, okay, now I'll give you a disrespectful example, and he'll appreciate this. You'll probably say, oh boy, it is disrespectful for Ezekiel Elliott if he was to get a touchdown and try a Lambeau leap. That is disrespectful. Okay? That is disrespectful.
How's it disrespectful?
Because that is the Packers celebration.
But somebody has done that before, so then we might as well start getting
it. And they pushed him back. Remember that? He did the leap, and the fans playfully pushed him back.
So why didn't the fans push back Kyrie and just let it go?
Because they can't get on the court. And what Kyrie
that's very true. That's very true.
What Kyrie did, was it terrible?
Let me ask you, because I'm glad you brought that up.
Sure.
Let me glad you brought that up. Randy Moss caught a touchdown in Lambeau Field.
I remember that.
And he
I know you remember that.
And he imitating, pulling out his pants and flashing everybody. Was that disrespectful? Was it disrespectful? Because you've been a tap dance around it. No. Was it disrespectful?
I have never tap danced in my life. I don't think it was disrespectful. If it's offensive to some people, maybe. But to me, it's all a part of the taunting of sports. That's just like when you're playing the video game with your sons or your nephews and you don't let them win. Y'all probably talking trash.
No, if I'm blowing him out by 20 and then I keep...
Isaiah, I know you, bro. I know you taunting that man.
Yeah, you're right. Now,
so what's wrong with taunting?
So we changing the thing. Now we changing the word.
But listen,
I'm asking a question. Was it disrespectful?
It was not.
At the end of the day, it wasn't disrespectful to anything that Boston has accomplished. It was just a stump on the fans for taunting him the whole game. And it was
basically bad words.
I want y'all to keep this same energy. He do that in Milwaukee. I want y'all to keep that same energy. He do that in Milwaukee.
Well,
when I first saw it, when I first saw it, I didn't even think nothing of it. I'm like, oh, look at Kyrie, he a fool.
I thought it was hilarious.
I laughed.
I want y'all to keep that same energy. He do it in Milwaukee.
Because why are people watching him that much to know that he did that? Why are people watching him now? I didn't even know he did it to the highlights.
I didn't know he did it either until the highlights.
Bruh, come
Obviously,
on,
because I'm
like-
not watching Kyrie, but I'm saying though, I want y'all to keep that same energy he do in Milwaukee.
All right. Okay. Yes. Wow. Whew. Brace yourself for this next one, people.
May the good Lord be with us right now.
Brace yourself for this next one. For the first time in his illustrious career, see, I use the word illustrious, the GOAT behind Michael Jordan, the best player in the NBA. You see what I'm doing there? LeBron James was eliminated from the playoffs. LeBron is on record for calling this season mentally draining in his post-elimination from the playoffs.
Oh God!
First of all, let's not just make this about LeBron, but let's talk about the collapse of the Los Angeles Lakers. Many people at this table and in America picked the Lakers to repeat and go to the finals, except for Zeke. Stephen A., as he normally does, has some very critical comments about the King. What are your thoughts? And are people expecting too much from LeBron? And why does everything with LeBron have to be a part of his legacy? Before we even jump in, let me just start off by saying this. May I start?
Go ahead and get it out.
First of all, I think it is complete ignorance for people in America to consider LeBron's elimination as a taint to his legacy. LeBron James has played the game of basketball for 18 seasons. He's given his everything to the game of basketball. He's won championships with 3 different teams. And the fact that people are saying his legacy is out of the window or he's not a GOAT because his very battered and bruised team couldn't get out of the first round is very disrespectful to the legacy of LeBron James. Furthermore, what I'm going to say about LeBron James is the Lakers probably should have rested him and AD for the rest of the season and called it a wash because LeBron James was not 100% in these playoffs. He didn't have any help. Schroeder barely scored any points. Anthony Davis was in and out in 5 minutes. And so for people to think that Kyle Kuzma was pretty much non-existent, for people to think that LeBron James, that getting out of the first round is beneath LeBron James, I need for you to watch and learn a little more about the sport of basketball. Because so what? There's a first round exit in his 18th season.
All
in
right.
his 18th season.
Let me turn my hat to the back.
So that's all I have to say. Well, hold up. Before you turn your hat to the back, and I know my brother Zeke hates this, but let me give some playoff stats.
Okay, hold on.
No.
Because that's pointless. That's
No.
pointless.
Let me
That
give
is
you
so pointless.
Let me give you some LeBron stats to marinate on while y'all are talking about his playoff legacy being tarnished. He's played more games than anybody, more minutes than anybody, more wins than anybody, more points than anybody, more field goals than anybody, more made free throws than anybody, more made steals than anybody. Okay, second in assists, second in made three-pointers, second in triple-doubles, fourth in double-doubles, sixth in rebounds, 10th in block shots, according to a photo released by the Bleacher Report. If all those numbers are legacy tainting, then LeBron must need to walk on water for folks just to appreciate what he brings to the game. That first round elimination, did it suck? Yes, because the playoffs are better with LeBron. But the fact that people are really, really trying to compare it to his legacy kind of annoys me. Who wants to go next?
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. The biggest LeBron fan in the room.
First off, thank you for all of those stats you just ran by because
and you see, I didn't even bash your boy.
There were some of the things that I was going to bring up. Everybody in America wants to find something to taint LeBron's legacy. Every commentator out there wants to find something to bring down his legacy. when the man has accomplished as much as he did, there's no way you should have one negative word to say because he lost the first round the first time in 18 seasons. And everybody wants to look at it like, oh, LeBron has lost a step. No, they are a beat up team. Everybody in the starting lineup was hurt.
Everybody.
Every single person in the starting lineup was hurt.
And he shouldn't have been playing.
Not to mention, you got 2 bench players that's hurt, and you got a no-show Kuz.
Two what? Did you just say 2
Bench.
bitch? Oh, I thought you said bitch.
No, I didn't say the
I'm
B
sorry.
word.
I just wanted to say
No,
it.
I didn't. I honestly thought he said 2 bitch players.
Oh.
Like, wow, okay. Go ahead.
I am sick of everybody
Come on, brother.
giving LeBron the treatment they do when a man has put so much into a game that everybody loves and a game that he loves. How can you put that much taintment on someone and so much pressure on someone who has done that much?
America, if you can see our big brother Zeke face right now, he's channeling his inner Andre Douglas with those expressions over there. Go ahead, bro.
Nobody else in the league has been through what he's been through as far as being judged on every single thing he do as a player.
Everything.
Every single thing he does. Even his kids get the same treatment.
Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you like this, man.
Are you
I'm gonna give you a minute to respond, because I know you look like you got some things to
Do
say.
you develop your thoughts?
No, I just wanted y'all to get all that out.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not here to hate on LeBron.
No,
I actually like LeBron. I think
I do
LeBron
too.
is the second best
I
player.
can't tell.
LeBron is the second best player that the NBA, to me, has seen.
Agreed.
He has moved the culture.
It's not the first. Let him
Are y'all
finish.
done? Are y'all done?
Listen,
Let him finish.
just because I put in a little comment on the slide like you do, don't mean that
That's what
you need
do.
to interrupt what he's saying.
Well, you interrupted him first.
I did not interrupt him.
You said first when he said what he had to say.
and you said second. You said second the same, right behind him.
Yeah, but the point is,
That's
LeBron's
because
not
So
the
then
first.
why can't I say first if he say
Because
second?
he's not the first.
You said second. He said second, and
Bro,
I say
he's
first.
not the first.
Are we done?
Okay, let's stop. Go
I
ahead.
mean, because
I'm
I
sorry.
know why because you hyped up because you're talking about Jordan, but
Yeah,
whatever.
come on, man.
Did
Just
you-
stop.
Anyways.
No, that's disrespectful.
No, he's
No,
sensitive.
no, he's sensitive.
Go
So,
ahead.
so
Let him finish.
you know,
He was
like I said
talking.
before, LeBron James is the second best player that the NBA has seen in my eyes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that we ain't gonna say we. I think people are critical against LeBron because of that status, because of that label. Is he or is he not the king? So my thing about the whole exit of the first round of the Lakers and stuff like that is that, you know, I think I talked about it last week. I think LeBron checked out a long time ago. And the reason we
Wow.
give LeBron,
I've never heard you say that before.
I said that last week.
Can you confirm what you mean by checked out?
I mean, checked out as far as like he was tweeting. He was still,
You mean checked out of basketball?
not checked out of basketball. I mean, like checked out of this series.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm talking about mentally. I'm talking about like he's tweeting, he's going to parties, COVID parties. Yeah, I said it, COVID parties, and he's doing these things. These are unlike LeBron James. Now, my thing about that is, once LeBron James signed to the Los Angeles Lakers, it wasn't to bring this franchise back to glory. It was to further his business. And so you talk about LeBron James, you know, all the things he's done. Nobody's taking that away.
Can't believe
Can
I
I-
went there.
Yeah, I went right there. Nobody's taking LeBron James, what he's done in the game. Nobody's taking that away from him. But just like Jordan had a run with the Washington Wizards that wasn't pleasurable,
We try to forget those years.
Listen,
They didn't
LeBron James is looking like the same way. Where you where you're in the game a little bit too long. That's number one. Put your hand down. I'm not done talking.
But-
You're just gonna be
But
up
I
there
have
for a
to
while.
rebuttal your number
You don't have to
one.
rebuttal
Isaiah,
that.
you gotta let me
There's
rebuttal your
nothing to
number one.
rebuttal. There's nothing to rebuttal.
You're
There's
overlooking.
nothing to rebuttal.
Zeke, you're
These are-
overlooking that they were in first
Can I get
place.
there? Can I get there?
Fine.
Can I
Fine.
get there?
Let him go.
Can I get
Let him
there?
Go. Sorry. Go.
Thank you.
Go.
I'm not saying LeBron should retire, but let's not act like LeBron James. He has an opportunity. He always has an opportunity to further his name past Jordan, past Kobe Bryant, and he fails at these moments. So if you think his failure, just like his success, will not be criticized, you have another thing coming.
But what is the failures though?
But why does it have to?
Hold on a second.
Why does it have to be a failure because he didn't live up to a standard that you set?
Why
not a standard that he set or they set?
This is the standard that he set.
How
you
did
know
he set
why
that?
he set that standard? Because he took the number 23 when he first came in the league. He was the number 1 draft pick. He donned himself as the king. You're the king.
I was going to clap for him on that.
Because you're talking about somebody who set these standards. LeBron set these standards.
He did.
LeBron is coming out doing this stuff. We're not taking away from LeBron's success.
Okay.
We're criticizing his success.
But listen to this.
Just like his failures.
But listen, when you're in year 18, you can't expect him to go do the same thing he did in year 9 and year 8 and year 7.
But this here's the point.
That's what everybody is failing to realize. Even though he's still good, he's better than 90% of the people in the league, and yet people still criticize him for not doing something that he did when he was in his 20s.
If you on the floor, and you, because the thing that irritates me is, man, I've been hurt all this time. But if you win the first round, if you win a championship, you're gonna talk about them injuries? No, you're not. Everybody gets to talk about those injuries after you catch that L. Well, I was hurting. See, my back was really killing me. Nobody care about that. We care about wins and losses. LeBron, show up. I'm on the floor. So when you averaging below 25 points, when you doing, I'm not even saying the bare minimum. I'm not even sitting here talking about, man, LeBron, you should. We all say LeBron should have did more. Why? Because we've seen him do more.
So,
during the season,
but you fail to realize he is in year 18. His body is not going to recover like it was when he was year 1 through 10.
So,
Casey, you moving the goalposts. Because when LeBron scores 30, 35, and 37, then you like, so that's LeBron James. That's what he do. He the king. But then when he lose,
that's not what I say.
Then when he lose,
that's not what I say. And I don't make excuses for his losses, but you got to look at the roster.
So look at how many times we gonna look at the roster? No, hold on a minute. How you gonna talk about the roster when this team was built to repeat? You have the sixth man of the year.
How can you repeat when Anthony Davis has played less than 50 games this season?
That means it's not LeBron's team anymore. That goes back to what I was talking about before.
What do you mean?
Maybe it's time to look at retirement.
So then how does Kawhi get all the acknowledgement that he gets and he doesn't do it by himself? He has not went to any team he played for and been a leader.
Kawhi Leonard gets that same criticism.
He does not.
Yes, he does.
He does not. When they are not over there sweating him down like they sweat LeBron down for losing round 1.
You're not listening.
Last year when he lost, nobody said a word.
Are you crazy?
They talked about it for the first 2 weeks and then
they
done.
fired their
coach. They talked about LeBron all summer.
Did they not? Go ahead.
No one is calling Kawhi Leonard the greatest of all time. I've never heard anyone call him that. Okay, no one's ever called him.
But they trying to say better than LeBron.
Wait a second.
Who says that?
Listen.
I've never heard.
Go back and listen to some of the commentators.
Listen, LeBron James. The fact of the matter is, when LeBron doesn't come through the clutch, I criticize him. Casey questions if I'm a LeBron fan. But what I'm saying is, not everything that the man does has to be a part of his legacy.
Yes, it does. That's part of your legacy.
Listen, man. The Los Angeles Lakers, before LeBron got hurt, before AD got hurt, were in first place. They were dominating basketball. When he went away and came back, remember I said it on one of our earlier podcasts, that I believe LeBron came back, his comeback was too premature. He should have sat out, and if the Lakers missed, I'm like this. I'll say this, though. I'm glad he lost in the first round because now he doesn't have to worry about losing in the finals. I'd rather him take a first round L than a final L on his resume.
Whether he lose first round or in the finals is still against his record.
My only issue is though, you see all the injuries that happened this season to the Lakers, and yet everybody dismissed that and say, "Oh, LeBron, you can do it with Talon Horton Tucker Jr. or whatever his name is," and whoever else is on that roster that wasn't a part of that original roster built to beat champions this year.
Stephen A. Smith said, "For all of y'all out there who want to argue LeBron's the GOAT, tonight matters because if you're the GOAT, you got to prove it in games like this. Obviously, he was talking about Game 6 against the Phoenix Suns. Here's the thing, people.
That's hypocritical.
That's not hypocritical. That's not hypocritical.
To expect LeBron to go out there and do it on his own is unrealistic because even the great Michael Jordan didn't do it on his own. Okay, KD went to 2 super teams to get it done. And basketball is a team sport. Awards are individualized, yes, but in a team sport of basketball, what else do y'all want LeBron James to do?
I want LeBron James.
What else do you want him to do?
This is my thing. Here's my thing. If LeBron James is out there averaging 40, if LeBron James is out there averaging 35, if LeBron was out there 35, 7, and 8, then, okay, he left it all on the floor. But LeBron putting in below 25 points, like he putting in below 25 points and such, all that stuff like that. That's one of those things where you like, all right, LeBron, what's up? Well, I'm hurt. Why are you on the court then?
Because he'd rather go out there and try to help his team
than
leave them all the way hanging.
Well, then take this L.
That shows more of a competitor than anything else.
But then take this L.
He took his L.
He did take his L. He took his L.
People like you who are hypocritical of LeBron James and Stephen A.
Y'all be acting like LeBron James can walk on water, and then when he drowned
y'all expect him to walk on.
That's what y'all expect him.
We expect LeBron James to show up when it's time to show up, because that's what you're supposed to do when you the king. If you're not the king, then say you're not the king.
So, okay.
So is that not the case?
So
LeBron James, Michael Jordan showed him when he's supposed to show up. Or no?
So his last game in the playoffs was 29, 9, and 7.
Okay.
What type of stats is those at the year he's in right now? Name another player that put up them type of stats.
Those are below average numbers for LeBron James when it comes to playoffs.
No, it is not.
So I think you are setting.
I'm setting a standard like LeBron James has already set.
Here's the bottom line.
Kobe, Michael Jordan, the greats, they came through in the clutch.
The Lakers lost 4 games to 1 to the Detroit Pistons. They did not come through in the clutch.
Who?
The Lakers with Kobe and Shaq lost 4 games to 1 against the Detroit Pistons. They did not come through the clutch. Chicago Bulls lost to the Detroit Pistons in the conference finals 2 or 3 years in a row until they figured it out.
Until they did what?
They figured it out.
Okay.
LeBron doesn't need to figure anything out. He has 4 championships. Granted, 1 is in the bubble. Granted, 1 is in a buyout year. So there's a lockout year. So there's a lot of reasons. And
here we go with these excuses.
There's a lot of reasons and probable cause for people to want to question LeBron's legacy. But I think because so many of us are from the Jordan era, we are protective of his legacy. And any chance people gets a chance to run down LeBron, they will, because for the simple fact, if LeBron had 7 championships, and I say 7, 1 more than Jordan, it wouldn't even be a debate on greatness. And that's coming from the biggest Michael Jordan fan that both of you
I
know.
agree with you 110%.
So at the end of the day.
So hold on. So my thing is it okay for your job to judge you off of what you did the first 5 years there compared to your last 5 years there when you got older and you wasn't able to do to the whole level that you did when you was in there your first 5 years?
Well, that's not a fair assessment because
that's his job, right?
Well, you have to walk away. I'm
gonna answer that question, Dre.
You can't retire until you're a certain age when you in your regular job.
Hey,
he can't retire right now because people still expect him to play.
Right. Okay, so
yeah, that's true.
What? So here's the thing. I'm answering your question. If a job is seeing lackluster performance in me, and they're like, you know what, Zeke, I think it's time for you to move on. I'm like, what you mean? The last 5 years I've been doing pretty good, but those first 5 are pretty bad. And they decided to let me go.
First 5 were great,
and they decided to let me go.
Last 5 were horrible,
and they decided to let me go. So be it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. The thing about it is, like, we
wouldn't be upset about it at all.
We're criticizing LeBron James just like people criticize Michael Jordan. Now, is it fewer and far in between? Yes. But what I'm saying is, don't act like LeBron James doesn't deserve criticism every time he has a failure, just like he has a success. When the first time he won it in the bubble, and this is for such and such, this is for this, and this is for that person. All right, cool. I get that. That's great. But if you lose in the first round in the first time of your career, We got to look at you because you're right. People picked the Lakers over the Suns.
But they didn't pick them. They didn't pick the Lakers off of their injured roster. They picked them off of a healthy roster.
They picked them off the greatness of LeBron James.
3 weeks
I
ago.
came here last week and said, as much as
everybody's
I would like Phoenix and the Bucks to win it, but I'm not putting nothing past LeBron James. When I said that, you was all, there you go. That's what he said. Because LeBron James is that good.
That's because everybody expected AD to play alongside of him.
I expect LeBron. If LeBron James is on that court, I have a good chance to win.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
and that's part of being a superstar. That's part of being the GOAT discussion. If that player is on the court, I have a chance of winning. And I think that the Lakers, as the roster,
have a chance of winning because they had Tatum on the court. And
you said not in that conversation.
You said he's a superstar, but ain't he the one who said he's a superstar?
I did say he's a superstar.
Tatum is a superstar.
So then they should have had a chance to win every time he stepped on the court, but they only won one game, right?
But they played the Eastern Conference All-Star.
We're talking about. Hold on a second. We're talking about the GOATs here. We're not talking about superstars because Kyrie's a superstar. Kawhi Leonard's a superstar, but LeBron James is different. Why? Because I'm going to take what you just said. He's better than 90% of the guys in the league. So when he's on the court, it's a little different. And you know it.
So he can't be hurt?
I'm not saying he can't be hurt.
A lot of you people act like he can't be human.
If he's hurt,
just like everybody else.
If LeBron James' best interest, if he's hurt, then he'll be on the court.
Well,
that's in your best interest. Don't be on the court.
At the end of the day, we have three very different opinions about this. I think everything doesn't have to be against his legacy. That's all I'm saying.
And I totally agree.
When LeBron James when he's having a bad game, we criticize. That's what we do. We're sports podcasters and commentators.
Even when he has a great game, they still criticize.
When he's having a great game.
That was a lucky three, they said, after that was a great shot.
It was a lucky shot.
Your man in over here said,
but that's not the first time he's hit that shot. Just like you said, it's not like Steph Curry had to hit that shot before.
Yeah.
He's hit that shot on numerous occasions.
That's outside his
range. But yet, it's still a lucky shot because everybody wants to judge every single thing LeBron James. What do you mean? He's just taking that shot on numerous occasions.
Dre is taking numerous layups, but if he takes one and makes it, we're like, oh, okay.
So
that's out his range.
So speaking,
he's not a basketball player.
Wow. So y'all gonna try to throw shade, both of y'all at the same time. That's a lot of shade.
You're not a basketball player.
Are you a basketball
player?
So Friday night, I went to this church conference, right? And we had a free throw contest.
Let me guess. You thought you won?
I made 3 shots in a row, and I was in the finals.
But did you win?
No.
You didn't lose to a kid, did you?
No, it was men's conference.
No.
But I meant. Which button is it?
I made. I made 3 shots, and I was fine with it. So at the end of the day, LeBron will go down in history as I would probably give him the most hated player in the NBA.
Oh, my God, man. You're serious right now?
I am serious, but at the end of the day, a first-round loss does nothing for his legacy, in my opinion.
But my only thing
People will look back at this and say, Anthony Davis is that dude is fragile. Another story for another day. That dude gets hurt just looking at him like, bruh, he is not the future. Please, LA, do not put your money.
That's where the future is.
I get it, but you better get him some help because if he gets injured, we see what happens with the Lakers.
I think with the Lakers collapse,
see what happens with the Lakers.
With the Lakers collapse, I think that a lot of times you have LeBron James in your team, and that makes you fall back a little bit.
So real quick,
go as hard.
Question on the Lakers collapse. I moved it up a little closer, Tone. I moved it up a little closer. Yeah, the text said that it was some audio. If you're the Lakers, when we're talking about the Lakers right now, do you think we're talking about the collapse of the Lakers, but we really talk about LeBron. Do you think Jason Kidd is gunning for the head coaching job of the Lakers?
No.
You think Vogel has one more year to go? You think they'll give him another shot? Yeah. Keith, you think they'll give him another shot?
I think they'll give him another shot because he's Vogel.
Okay.
I don't think that's the reason, but
he's not. He doesn't have enough melatonin in his skin to be judged yet.
All right, so we have different opinions about LeBron and his legacy. Sound off, 94 Feet Nation. What do y'all think about LeBron? Does a first round exit taint his legacy? Hit us up on our Twitter, our Facebook, and our Gram, and let us know. Keith and I say no. Zeke said if you want to be the GOAT. Zeke said if you want to be the GOAT, you got to win the big game. Did you not say that?
Okay, but have you ever heard him say he wants to be the GOAT? He does not say he wants to be the GOAT.
When
Nobody says it. Jordan said he didn't want to be the GOAT either, but that's what people
Jordan said he was the best.
Listen,
he'll tell you to your face. He said he was the
when
best.
LeBron was down,
if you go to Jordan right now, he will tell you I was the best.
When LeBron was down 3-1 against Golden State, when Kevin Love and Kyrie went out, a reporter asked him, "Do you think Cleveland has a chance?" He said, "Yes." And the reporter said, "Why?" He said, "Because I'm the best player in the world." And Klay Thompson mocked him after they won the championship on Cleveland floor. They said to Klay, "How do you feel about the game?" He said, "It's great when you're playing against the best player in the world." And he pointed to Steph Curry. So he threw shade back at LeBron. So LeBron thinks he's the best. Don't get it twisted. So let's move on.
So do you.
The NBA playoffs. Well, you want to take me there. So the NBA playoffs continued. We had a lot of first round exits, and we're halfway through. We're not halfway. We're a day and a half and 2 days into the second round. It appears that the Los Angeles Clippers are going to win against Dallas. They've had to fight too hard for it, but it appears that they will be in the second round. But let's go and look at the first round matchups, and let's just talk about some big highlights or some things you enjoyed, or are we surprised by the results? Utah beat Memphis decisively 4-1. Utah-Memphis, Zeke, did you expect that outcome? Were you disappointed, or is that exactly what you expected?
I think it's I was more surprised that because I picked the Grizzlies to win one more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm surprised of that. I knew Utah was eventually going to win the series, but I thought Memphis would get one more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, once Donovan Mitchell came back, he changed the whole game. Just like we said last week, had Donovan played, it would have been a sweep. So the results didn't surprise me. But what I will say is that Memphis has a very bright future. They have some superstars in the making over there, and Morant and Val, and they have a really good ball club. And I think I didn't take Utah serious, but the Clippers better be ready for Utah. Because the Clippers are the only team in the Western Conference that went 7 games. They're the only team in the NBA playoffs that went 7 games. So Utah will meet the Clippers in the second round of the playoffs. Keith, what did you think about Utah and Memphis overall series, bro?
I think it gave them a lot of experience and a lot of wake-up calls for some of the younger players over there. Like, it ain't going to be a cakewalk. And you're going to have to put in that work to get where you need to be. But I think they're on their way, though. Like you said, they're young, and they got a whole lot of time to get where they need to get. But they got to put that work in and get there. And like you said, you called it out. You said Utah was going to beat them once Donovan Mitchell came back. Mm-hmm. And they swept them. Basically, they swept them.
They won 4 in a row.
You called it out.
They won 4 in a row. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to say this. As great as Luka is, I am disappointed that the Clippers had this go 7 games. I am disappointed. And the Clippers had to fight to win the games that they won.
I think that, but I said that, though. I said the Clippers, once the Clippers won those 2 games and they tied it up, I knew they were going to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the wake-up calls of Luka, I think Luka just has the Clippers number. They really can't do nothing with him.
And he has no help.
He has no help. I think that once the Clippers, to be really honest with you, I think this is their year.
Especially with the Lakers gone.
With the Lakers gone, this is their year. If they don't make it to at least the Western Conference Finals,
it's a bust.
They won't beat Utah.
It's a bust.
They hold up. Save for the second round because we're going to get there. So Luka, man, shout out to Luka. If I'm Dallas, if I'm Mark Cuban, I am spending big because you have a piece. Luka's going to win MVP next year. You heard it here first. That's Isaiah's boy. You heard it here first. Luka, you can build a championship team around him. He just took the Clippers to 7 games. Keith, what is his stats tonight for folks that's listening?
46, 14 assists, 46 points, 14 assists, and 7 rebounds.
Luka, a guard, putting up crazy numbers. No one on the Clippers could hold him, like we all talked about.
And we had playoff P with 20 10-6, 20.
So the bottom line is Dallas, I think, blew this by not giving Luka the help he needed all season. I think it was Dallas's to lose, and they lost. So the Clippers will go on to win that series 4-3 and advance to play the Utah Jazz in the second round.
I blame that on their coach because I feel
you blame that on who's their coach these days? Is it still the same guy? Yeah, Rick Carlisle.
Yeah,
Rick Carlisle.
Okay.
I blame him because he didn't give that boy a break. That man played 44 minutes.
He did.
He played 44 minutes.
Tonight?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's game 7.
Game
you got
7.
to.
But 44 minutes is a lot and expect you to still win. He should have had a break in there at some point.
No.
I mean, you gotta rely on somebody at some point.
But
that's what causes players to have the injuries that they have today. They're playing a lot of minutes.
But that goes back to what Dre said when he said he had no help.
He has no help.
So because he has no help, because his help is supposed to be Porzingis. Porzingis sucks.
Yeah, and he's injury.
Porzingis sucks, and he's injury prone. Porzingis needs to go about his business, and they need to trade him. I'm pretty sure they will if they want to keep Luka happy, just because he needs help. And then, unfortunately for Tim Hardaway Jr., tonight was just his night.
Yeah,
wasn't his night.
Yeah,
he got hurt too. I think he stepped on somebody's foot or something earlier in the game. He went back to the locker room and came back. Though.
Okay, but it's just one of those things where Tim, he doesn't have this consistent help with him, and that's the thing about Luka. Luka is literally carrying Dallas to 7 games in his first round.
Yeah.
So that to me is enough to be like, okay, this guy just needs help.
Yep.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this: they get one more anywhere semi superstar.
Kawhi, KD,
any semi-superstar, and they wreck the West Coast next year.
Yeah. Denver went on to decisively beat Portland 4-2. I am surprised by that.
I'm not surprised.
I am surprised by that. I had Portland winning. I thought Dame could finally get it done. But I think, and me being one of the people, I think people really underestimated Joker as an MVP. That boy can ball.
My thing is Portland's roster is not as good as everybody think it is.
It's
outside of Dame, name somebody. Besides CJ McCollum.
Powell.
You only know that because he just got traded there.
Anthony.
Anthony who?
Really? Anthony. You know who Anthony is.
Anthony who?
I think the bottom line too for Portland, man, it comes down to coaching. Terry Stotts, his style was a little outdated from that ball club.
He was fired.
He was fired. They showed him the door the very next day. Dame mentioned he wanted Jason Kidd. Kidd took his name out of the runnings. But Portland and Dame, they have to figure it out because Dame will once again be another good player.
So do you think Dame leaves after this year?
He should, but he won't.
If you was Dame, what would you do?
I would be gone. I would have been left.
I think
I would have been left.
At first, I never thought Dame would leave, and then he said a cryptic tweet.
You ain't the type of bandwagon jumper.
I'm not a bandwagon jumper, but bro, how many years does he have to give the franchise before he say I tried?
Something like that. He's a bandwagon jumper.
I'm not a bandwagon jumper.
Zeke, read the tweet. Read the tweet.
The tweet is just that he put up. I think it was like a quote from Nipsey Hussle. He was just saying how long do I stay loyal? How long am I supposed to, pretty much how long am I supposed to wait?
Because he balled out.
Who said that's what Dame?
That's what Dame
tweeted.
He right after the game.
Right after the game.
So it's one of those things where I never thought that would happen, but just because he said all those things.
I didn't see that tweet.
I wouldn't be surprised if Portland has a lot of soul searching to do. They're letting Dame weigh in on the head coaching job, which they should do. He's the superstar.
But if you Dame, would you care?
I mean, you have no choice because you have a big contract. Dame has a big contract. And the fines, and at the end of the day, yeah, Dame's a baller, but your reputation is you lose. So the losing is not as attractive as those 55
But he hasn't
points.
had a complete roster since he's been there.
Yeah, but still, we can't keep going back to that, though, because at the end of the day, when you're a superstar, you have to find ways to get it done. And he did have a superstar. He had LaMarcus Aldridge.
I bet they're not criticizing him the way they criticize LeBron.
But no one calls him the GOAT either.
Thank you.
But you seen he pulled up from the logo.
Yeah, that's disrespectful.
You're quick to talk about it.
But
how is that
disrespectful? Pull up.
4-2, Denver won. But let's let's not just talk about how bad Portland is. Let's just talk about how good Denver is. Okay, Denver is a good basketball team, and they can be competitive in the playoffs. Joker is the MVP. He'll win it, and nobody could hold him. He put up numbers. He crashed boards. He played some really good basketball, so shout out to Denver for winning. Phoenix beat the Lakers 4-2. We talked a little earlier about that. I'm not surprised by that. The Los Angeles Lakers were a beaten and battered team. Chris Paul became Chris Paul again. Devin Booker is becoming a superstar in the NBA. And so the Los Angeles Lakers should have lost this series. They deserve to lose this series. It doesn't take anything from LeBron's legacy, but the Phoenix Suns were a better team. Even though I picked the Lakers to go to the finals, I can admit that the Phoenix Suns were a better team. Zeke.
They were I think the Phoenix Suns just cost the Lakers at a really good time. Mm-hmm. With Anthony Davis being hurt, I think they have to really look into the future of the Lakers, which is pouring more into Anthony Davis. Like I said before, this team was built to repeat, and the fact that they got bounced out in the first round, they have a lot of decisions to make. Dennis Schroeder,
gone. I will get rid of him.
What's the other guy name? Not Drummond. But then, that's your boy. Boy.
He had the nerve to even say he's supposed to be the starting point guard.
He did.
Do you think his play was worthy of a starting point guard?
I think he
scored 0 points one of these games.
Yeah, Game 5. I think he had like 0 points.
Yeah.
The thing is, like I said before, when you with LeBron James and he has him on your team, you think you don't have to do as much. And it showed with the Lakers because they're stockpiling the lineup. Marcus Gasol, like all these guys that have produced other places, but you think, oh, well, I got LeBron James on my team, I got Anthony Davis, I'm good to go. I don't have to do anything. And to be honest with you, I think they need to really look at that coaching, because if you can't make it past the first round with the team that you have, then we have to like reevaluate this whole situation.
Yeah, but when you're and the thing about the Western Conference, outside, to me, there really are no super teams in the Western Conference. You have a bunch of good teams with a few superstars, but there really are no super teams. So I'm going to say this for the first time since we've been podcasting professionally here. The Western Conference is wide open. It's wide open, and we'll talk more with the second round coming up. Over in the East, Philly beat Washington. Easy. We expected it. Not a whole lot to say. Joel Embiid, man, the success of that ball club really does depend on him. Russell Westbrook goes home again. He can't do it again. But as I said before, Washington shouldn't have been in the playoffs anyway. They got lucky with the play-in tournament. Philly is a team to watch, although Atlanta ran at them a little bit today, which we'll talk about coming up. 4-1, Philly wins it. I expected it. Keith?
I expected them to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did talk crazy for a little bit, but that's just, to go against the grain.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, we all knew that they were going to lose.
Yeah.
I just wanted there to be a little bit more
competition.
Yeah, competition. I expected Russell and Bill to put up a little bit more of an effort. I seemed like they were just out there a lot.
I think that Washington Wizards were pretty tired from the play-in tournament. And from they even get to this point. So it's not that I am a little surprised just because of that. But once I seen them, how they were playing, and you can kind of see they were tired. Westbrook was he was hurt towards the end of the series. So I'm not like 100% shocked, but I'm happy for the 76ers because they took care of business. They should have swept them, to be honest with you, but that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you said before, Atlanta might give them some problems.
Yeah. Atlanta beat the Knicks 4-1. Again, Trae Young, after he taunted the Knicks, he basically owned the Knicks. The Knicks didn't have a chance. Randall, most improved player. Good thing they don't have takebacks because they probably would have took it back based on his on his playoff performance.
Did you go along with us with that one?
I think we all picked the Knicks.
Who did you pick?
I picked the Knicks, but I thought he was going to go 7 games.
Me too.
So I'm surprised it went 4-1.
Yeah.
I'm so shocked, man.
And they stole that first one. They stole that first one. It
Julius,
wasn't like it was a blowout.
You owe me a couple dollars, man. I lost a few dollars on you, bro. I had faith in you for a minute, and you blew it. You blew my money.
Yep, and I think, too, it comes back down, once again, to coaching, man. Tom Thibodeau, as good of a coach as he is, he just didn't look like he knew how to sub. He doesn't sub players well. That's one of the issues I have with his coaching. He didn't put Derrick Rose in the starting lineup until he noticed that he needed him there. And the Knicks just weren't mentally there. They haven't been a playoff team in years. I'm glad to see them get to the playoffs. But the Atlanta Hawks, I think a lot of us underestimated the Hawks.
But one thing you have to realize with Thibodeau also, it's a lot of stuff that comes from upstairs before he could have made that adjustment to putting Rose in the starting
they have a
lineup.
micromanager owner. Yeah.
Well,
you know how he is, right?
Yeah, I get that.
He wasn't going to let him just throw Rose in the lineup, and he got all these fresh young players. He's trying to get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
His roster, though, wasn't like it was tailored for the playoffs. His roster was really put together, and the fact that they made the playoffs and as highest seed that they made, it was like, oh wow, this is something amazing.
Yeah.
But his roster is just a roster put together to, kind of make some noise. That the fact that they did get as far as they did, I think is an accomplishment in itself. I usually don't say that about playoff teams, but for the Atlanta Hawks too, the way they started off the season and the New York Knicks is just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And we already talked about Milwaukee and Miami on our last episode. When we all knew this too, we knew Boston didn't have a chance. Brooklyn won 4-1. They did it decisively. There was no fight in Boston at all. They looked like a tainted ball club. They looked like a team that just did not belong. They looked like a team that did not belong in the NBA playoffs. So I am not surprised by that 4-1 victory. Not at all. Keith?
I mean, I don't think anybody was really surprised by the victory. I mean, it was just how the victory was won. So I think that this is one of those things where, like, just how the victory was won. Nothing really special about it. So, it is what it is.
We are in the second round of the NBA playoffs, so that means less basketball. Less basketball, but we are into the final 8, the Big 8, Elite 8 semifinals. We have the Utah Jazz squaring off against the Los Angeles Clippers. Game 1 begins on the 8th of June in Utah. Who do you like in this series, Zeke? And pick the breakdown. It's the Utah
Clippers
versus
in
the
6.
Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers in 6?
Clippers in 6.
What are some key matchups to watch for you?
Probably the biggest matchup is what is Utah going to do with Kawhi Leonard? The reason why it's going to be 6 games is because, and if this is the thing I don't like about Kawhi Leonard, is he shows up when he wants to show up. Instead of him being there, game 1, let's knock these clowns out. Let's not play with our food. He playing with his food, and he almost got bounced out the first round.
Sure did.
The only reason he didn't get bounced out the first round is because Luka does not have help.
Agreed.
If you have a halfway decent team, like let's say a good 3-4 guys you got to worry about, you can beat the Clippers.
He better be lucky. He better be lucky he shot good. Because if he didn't,
if he didn't pour in almost 50 points or something like that in the playoff, they'd have lost. And so playoff P is cool because playoff P is all playoff P has to do is be consistent with 20 points and 20 points every night. If he's around 20, 25 points, he's good because he can say I did all I could. But Kawhi Leonard has a bigger target on his back. Because he gets that same kind of treatment. If your team doesn't win, you're to blame. Because, and I'm sure Kesey has a lot to say because he's disagreeing with me. But as far as this series, Kawhi Leonard should dominate. I hope he learned his lesson from the Dallas series. He should come in, knock these clowns out. It should be 4-2 Clippers in 6.
Keith, go ahead.
I feel like Kawhi did too much that round. He had to do way too much for that roster that they have over there, just off of Luka by himself. So I think the second round is going to be rough on them. A lot of them over there is drained right now. You talking about a well rested up Utah Jazz team
Well rested.
with a rim protector that Dallas never had.
Yeah.
That's true.
They had nobody to protect the rim for them. That's why Clippers were able to beat them. And that's what they noticed because Kawhi started driving to the basket more instead of settling for jump shots. But if I was Dallas, I would have made them beat me out there. I wouldn't have let them drove.
Yeah.
They would have had to beat me out there. And that's where they made their mistake, and that's why they lost.
Well, I mean, the thing about going back to the Dallas and Clippers series, like Kawhi Leonard didn't start holding him until like game 4 of 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's why I'm like,
that's
Kawhi,
coaching though.
That's not coaching. That's Kawhi Leonard has enough clout to be like, I got him, y'all. I got him. And he refused to do it until he wanted to do it.
That goes back to what you say about him not being a team leader, though.
That's true. That's true, too.
He's not a team leader.
But that's what him or Paul George should have did from the gate. Paul George should have said, look, Kawhi, I got him game 1-2. You take him game 3-4, and we're going to knock them out the box in 4. Because that's how they should have beat that Dallas team.
Yeah. So I agree with both of you. Utah, I think people can't sleep on them.
Kesey, what did you predict, though? What are you predicting?
You picking between Utah or the Clippers?
I got Utah in 6.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think people are underestimating the Utah Jazz. I think people are underestimating them. Donovan Mitchell is balling. Rudy Gobert, who will win the Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody on nobody on the Clippers can hold Rudy Gobert. Who's going to hold him? Who's going to hold him?
That big white boy.
No. What?
The big white boy.
You said what?
The Clippers got a big man. They just didn't use him in this series. What's their big man name?
There is nobody on the Clippers. Yeah. There is nobody. He is not going to hold Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert is nobody to hold. It's like he's an offensive weapon.
But I'm gonna tell you,
in the middle.
But I'm gonna tell you,
he's a rim protector. He'll get those buckets, and he gets to the free throw line a lot. And I just want to
put this out there. Are you sure you want to go down this road? Because you went down this road with Andre Drummond, and he very disappointed you.
Well, Andre Drummond didn't disappoint me more than the Lakers did because he didn't have a chance to gel with him. Okay, let's not go there.
Here we go.
I'm going to say, go ahead, Keith. Say what you got to say, bro.
Rudy Gobert is that is a mismatch to him. And the only reason I say that is because Zubac ain't gonna be able to get them hook shots he was throwing up on Dallas to go in
because Utah plays defense.
I agree with you.
Slap back down his throat.
Utah plays defense.
I agree with you that Rudy Gobert is a presence on defense, but we're talking about offensively.
I'm gonna tell you, he offensive rebounds and he makes you take difficult shots.
And I'm gonna tell you like this: you got to put Kawhi on Rudy just to contain. Listen to me, just to contain because there's nobody that can match up with Rudy, and Kawhi is known for lockdown defense, whether people like it or not. He can lock folks down on defense.
Are you saying to me that Rudy Gobert?
Hold on.
Go ahead. We in the same pool, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and drive.
Say it again. What he just said.
I said that the only person on the Clippers that can hold Rudy Gobert is probably Kawhi, and they're not gonna put him on Rudy. If they're smart, they'll put Kawhi on Mitchell. If they're smart,
they won't do that.
They will or they won't.
They won't.
What type of drugs you on?
Who's gonna hold Mitchell?
Playoff P.
He's gonna hold Mitchell?
Yeah.
Y'all think he's gonna hold Mitchell?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's no way.
Who's gonna hold Rudy Gobert?
There's no way you think Kawhi is going to know Rudy Gobert and he's 7 foot. All they had to do is dump it down to him every time.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't say that. What I said was he's the lockdown defender that would be able to get something.
Not for no big man. He's a lockdown defender for guards and small forwards.
So that brings me back to my point. Who's going to hold Rudy?
It doesn't matter because he's not an offensive threat.
He's a defensive threat. He can get rebounds.
Okay,
Clippers
I agree with you. I agree with you, but we're talking about on the offensive end.
The biggest thing
like he does. Like I don't need to hold him. I just need somebody to. I need Rudy Gobert to do what he does: block shots, become a defensive presence,
and get to the foul line.
Not even get to the foul line.
How come?
Because it's not a foul. He's not a free throw shooter.
Only thing you need from Rudy is to be consistent all series and make shots tough on anybody who comes in that paint.
Yep.
And as long as he does that, he's done his job and get a few putbacks because he's not going to get no offensive plays ran for him.
No, as he shouldn't. As he shouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like you said it like Rudy Gobert get some offensive plays ran for him.
I mean, let's not act like Jordan Clarkson is playing some of the best ball that we've seen in
off the bench. He is, yeah.
We've seen,
and he really shot horrible this series.
He did.
He did.
So I'm going to go with the Clippers, but I think it'll be 7 games. The Clippers don't like to make things easy, as we can see. I'm gonna go with the Clippers.
I think
4-3.
I think it's going to be Utah because I just see that 6th man of the year having a better series.
Clarkson.
He had a horrible series last year. He can't play no worse than he did. So if he play halfway good,
okay,
they're cooked. Because who the Clippers got coming off their bench?
Man.
Pat Beverly.
Not Pat Beverly, man. I can't think of his first name. The rookie, the young guy from Florida.
No chance.
No chance.
He had like 18 today.
He had no chance
today,
against Clarkson, though.
They were up by a lot of this game.
And he didn't have to guard anybody.
So, Denver and Phoenix. Game starts the 7th. Who you got, Keith?
I'm excited about this series.
I am too.
I'm excited about the series, but at the same time, I'm going Denver in 7.
Denver in 7. Zeke?
Denver in 6.
Denver in 6. Zeke?
I'm going Phoenix in I'm going Phoenix in 6 because now Denver not having Jamal Murray is going to start to affect their team.
Okay.
I think a lot of people forgot about Michael Porter Jr. and that's why he was able to, get buckets.
Boy.
That's Skeezy guy.
I did pick him, didn't I?
You did.
I think and what's funny is that Aaron Gordon is the guy who holds defense on superstars.
Yep.
So that's what they used him in with the Trailblazers.
I like him, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
But something about with the Phoenix Suns, that's who they used against Dame against the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
They had Gordon was like, I got him.
Yeah.
And that's who they're kind of like, because he's taller than Dame. But what I'm saying, when it comes to Phoenix, you have multiple guys who can shoot from the perimeter. You have multiple guys who can get in the bucket. If Chris Paul is healthy, and then the thing about Chris Paul being healthy, Payne coming right behind him is playing some pretty good ball too. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be Phoenix. They'll probably be in like 6 games.
I don't know what they got over there in the water in Phoenix, but they sure can get somebody back healthy. If y'all ain't noticed, they can get some players back
because Chris Paul didn't have to, because Payne was playing so good, they didn't have to like bring Paul in right away. They could let him rest.
But think about Grant Hill.
I think Denver is too big for Phoenix. I don't think there's no answers for the Joker. But again, the Joker comes to play every night, and
Joker's going to have his way. The Joker's going to have his way, but what about that supporting cast?
That's what I said. I said Joker comes to play every night, but the Nuggets don't.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Phoenix Suns, but I also think this will go 7. I think we're in our 7-game tournament style now, or semifinals. Over in the West or the East, Philly and Atlanta. Atlanta won today, barely. They almost gave it away. Atlanta won. It was like 128 to 127 or something like that, or it was up there. But Atlanta leads 1-0 so far. Exciting game. I enjoyed it. Exciting game. Philly should have won.
I was sad.
Philly should have won.
Waited too long.
Philly has Atlanta looking like a good team, and I don't know that Atlanta is a good team.
That was disrespectful. But
why? How?
Atlanta's a good team.
Atlanta's a good team
because they beat the Knicks.
No, because they have good shooters, all around guys, and they have a big man.
Okay.
They have a good team.
Atlanta is okay. You're right. Collins, Trae Young,
and they're young.
Yeah, huh?
And they're young.
They are young. Atlanta's not bad. I take that back. You're right.
But
how do you like the matchup?
Philadelphia. I'm going Philly in 6.
Ooh.
Because I think they'll win this game, and then Philadelphia will win 2 straight, and then they might win another one, and then Philadelphia's going to finish off the series. Now,
what's the matchup?
I have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If Joel Embiid get hurt, then the tables will turn.
Yeah, and he's
playing
today.
hurt.
He was limpy.
He's
today.
playing hurt.
Yeah,
he's playing hurt.
Yeah, he is.
So while he, because some of the shots that Embiid takes, and because he want the foul so bad, he be flopping.
He's a little extra.
He comes down. So so hard. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
He can't
Just play ball.
And then on top of that,
Just play ball is what
Yeah,
you're saying. And
pretty
I see that too a lot.
And then Simmons can't buy a bucket beyond 18 feet. So, with that being said, Philadelphia, they're going to win this series because they're a defensive team. And that's why they're going to win this series.
Casey, go ahead.
I think of what can cause Philly to win this series, but if they don't do this, you have to get the ball out of Young's hands. And if you notice, when they take the ball out of Young's hand and make other players make decisions for them, they turn it over.
Because they're young, it starts to show.
Yeah.
And that's why this game, Philadelphia almost won. Because it
3
shows
turnovers in the last,
it
2
shows,
minutes?
yeah, it shows the lack of the youth. It shows the lack of playoff experience.
It shows the lack of being able to get your teammates involved outside without Trae Young. Without Trae Young, you take Trae Young out, and Atlanta doesn't win today.
Yeah, and on top of that, Trae Young is like 6'1".
Yeah.
The guys who guarded him, Ben Simmons is like 6'9".
Yeah.
They're bench players like 6'4", 6'5". Like they have a lot of they're big guards.
Yeah.
So with Trae Young, I'm still going Philly, but go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, who you got?
I got Philly winning though.
What's the series?
If Philly gets together, I got 6-2. If B gets hurt, I got Atlanta 5-1.
Yeah, 4-1.
I mean 4-1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 4-1.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm enjoying to watch the series. I got Atlanta for the upset.
How many games?
4-2.
My only thing is
I got Atlanta going.
With Embiid hurt?
I got
or
with Embiid right now not being 100%. I got Atlanta 4-2 for the upset.
What I watched at the end of that game lets me know that Philly can beat them.
They should have dominated them.
No, what happened
it took them long to make adjustments, and that's one thing I hate about Doc Rivers, though. He takes too long to make adjustments.
He does,
and that's how they got bounced last year with the Clippers.
So
because he took too long to make the right adjustments.
Keep in mind that Embiid was limping at the end of the game.
I don't think they need Embiid to beat them.
I don't think they need him either.
Okay.
And that's why I'm surprised you said that because, and the thing about it is, if Embiid is hurt, and if Embiid is hurt, it should be a tougher matchup.
Yep.
But like I said before, I think it'll be 6 games. It might be 7 if Embiid is hurt.
Yep. I got Atlanta for the upset. Philly. And finally, our Milwaukee Bucks versus the Brooklyn Nets. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this, and I know y'all not gonna like it.
Let this fake Buck thing.
I'm starting to question this.
Oh, he's not a fan.
His loyalty.
Question all you want, but if the Bucks don't make some shots, they might get swept. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
If the Bucks don't make no shots, they're gonna get swept, bro. No. They couldn't even beat Brooklyn without James Harden. They better win game 2 because Harden's not playing. If you go down 2-0 to Brooklyn, hold up, stick a fork in them.
Let me ask you this question.
If you go down 2-0 to Brooklyn, stick a fork in them.
Let me ask you this question.
Ask me the question.
Do you think the Bucks will continue this shooting slump?
I hope not. I hope not. They had a little rest.
Brooklyn only beat them by like 8 points, so
they had a little rest.
Can't shoot no worse than they can't shoot no worse than they did.
I think me and
Bucks
Keith
got to make 3 points.
This is what I'm saying. The Bucks are due for a bad game, and this is the one to do it in.
It's always K1, right?
It's always game, and I said that like coming back from a week off, you get a little cold, and so I expected the Bucks to lose this game.
I did too.
Y'all did.
I did.
I expected the Bucks to win this series, but
I expected them to lose
game 1 because Brooklyn was going to come out. They're home. They got all the energy.
Kyrie fired up.
Milwaukee been sitting at home eating bonbons and watching TV for a week.
Exactly. Giannis kicking it with his new baby. It's a lot of things going on, and I get it. But at the end of the day, do I still think the Bucks have enough to win this series? Yes. Do I think it's going to be 6 games? It might be 7.
I think it's a 7-game series.
I think it's going to be a 7-game series. And like I said before, the Bucks beat Brooklyn.
They'll win a championship. I said that, and I agree with that.
No, you didn't. You said Brooklyn and the Lakers.
Listen to the tape.
You said Brooklyn and the Lakers.
Brooklyn and the Lakers, but I said if the Bucks can beat Brooklyn, they'll win the championship.
Do you remember Keith? Do you remember him saying that?
I said the Bucks. I said Brooklyn and the Lakers for the finals. Yeah, I said that. I did say that. But I've said it. Go back and listen to the podcast. If the Bucks can beat Brooklyn, they'll win the championship. The winner of this series is the NBA champion. That's my prediction.
You think so?
The winner of this series is the NBA champion.
I think
I'm going to say I hope it's the Bucks. I hope it's the Bucks.
So my question for you
Hold
is
on,
this,
hold
Dre.
on.
Go ahead.
Let me
Go
get
ahead. Go ahead.
just give my prediction. I got Brooklyn winning 4-2. I got Brooklyn winning.
Will
4
you
games.
rather be right or you rather be a fan?
I'd
'Cause
rather be wrong. I listen. There is no question in my fan to the Bucks, but I like basketball. I call it a spade a spade. If you're winning and you're looking great, we'll say it. But if you're playing bad and you're playing bad, we'll say it. I am a Bucks fan. I'm going to game 3.
So the Bucks.
that just means you got money.
So the Bucks. Yeah, that's what that means.
That is all that means.
But if the Bucks come out and they play how they played last series and beat Brooklyn, how they beat
Miami,
do you change your opinion?
So here's the thing. I just said it to you, bro. I want the Bucks to win. And if the Bucks beat Brooklyn, I believe the Bucks will win the NBA championship. I think it's a done deal.
But you don't think they can beat Brooklyn?
I don't. That's why I said
Then put your money where your mouth is.
No, I don't want him to put his money in my mouth. I want him to come on his podcast and keep on apologizing.
Keith, who you got, man? Nets or Bucks?
I got the Bucks. You know that, man.
Bucks in 6 or 7.
The Bucks in 6.
Bucks in 6. So out of all the teams that are left, who do you like for the finals? For the teams that are left, who do you like from the finals?
Well, clearly my team got their butt kicked, and all I have left is the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to pick. Man, the West is it's so washy. They don't play consistently enough over there for me to pick.
I have a pick.
Go ahead, Zeke. What's your pick?
There's only one superstar left in the West.
Who?
Kawhi Leonard.
Joker is a superstar.
Joker is a superstar, but he's
so
not.
Don't say it's only one superstar.
So
left.
he's not a bigger superstar than Kawhi Leonard.
He's up there.
No, he's not.
He's top.
Go ahead.
His value is just as high as Kawhi's
Go
right
ahead.
now.
Pick,
You would think so, but
who
it's
you
not.
got? You still got Phoenix?
What you talking about for the finals?
For the finals.
I still got Phoenix versus the Bucks.
Okay, so that's what we're asking. We're saying based on who's left.
I still
who
got.
you got?
I still got
Phoenix Bucks.
Based on who's left.
You know what? Let me change that.
Ooh. As he's thinking, I have Brooklyn and the Clippers. Based on who's left.
So you go from Brooklyn and the Lakers to Brooklyn and
the Clippers. I got Brooklyn and the Clippers.
And the Bucks is nowhere in there, huh?
Based on who's left, I got Brooklyn and the Clippers. Go ahead so we can wrap up this episode.
Milwaukee, take his VIP pass back. Get it back from him. Don't let him. Don't let him step in your arena this weekend.
Because I think the Clippers.
I think the Bucks. Jeez, just because of
you keep voting against them, like you keep on voting against them.
Real goes wrong. Wow. Sheesh. Go ahead.
I'm going with. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think it's gonna be Clippers versus the Bucks.
Okay. Zeke, Keith, who you got, bro?
I got the Bucks in Utah.
You got the Bucks in Utah?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on the teams left, Keith got the Bucks and the Utah Jazz. Zeke has the Clippers and the Brooklyn Nets.
I have the Clippers and the Bucks.
The Clippers and the Bucks.
I'm a Bucks fan.
I'm a Bucks fan.
No,
and as the only true Bucks fan here, season ticket holder, attended games.
So you got money?
So you got money?
Who?
I have Brooklyn and the Clippers based on who's left. This has been another extended playoff episode. Thank you for listening and sticking with us on the 94 Feet Podcast. Check us out on Spreakers, Google, iHeart Podcast, Apple, Spotify. Like, subscribe, share. Follow us on social media at 94 Feet Podcast. That's 94FT Podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and we interact and we engage with the fans. Thank you for listening. Go ahead, fellas.
I'd like to thank you all for listening to us again. 94 Feet.
94 Feet Nation, baby.
All right, peace.
Peace.